Hello, everyone. It's Kieran here at Magical Traveller. Hope you're having a great day. Today is all about Brilliant Lady. So hopefully, if you watched the live last week, you'll know that this week is all about Brilliant Lady. On Tuesday, I was very lucky to be invited by Virgin Voyages to go on board for the day and experience the fourth ladyship in the Virgin Voyages fleet. So what I thought I'd do today is just take any questions you've got. If you've got questions, fingers crossed if this works. I have yet to get this to work properly in all the time I've been running this live. I've never fired it out to the correct places or seen the comments in the right places. So bear with me. This is my fourth week doing this. Fingers crossed one day I'll get this right. But if you've got any questions about it, I'm trying to keep an eye on this in actual Facebook as well at the same time. So if I'm going to look over here, it's because I'm checking the actual Facebook rather than trusting StreamYard, the platform we use for this, to see if it's going to bring the questions through. So bear with me, double screening. But yeah, if you've got any questions about Brilliant Lady, Virgin Voyages in general, by all means, feel free to ask them, and I will do my best to bring them on screen and answer them for you. In case you haven't met before, I am the owner of Magical Traveller. I am, this is going to sound braggy, but it's true. I'm an award-winning travel agent, both in general, but also with Virgin Voyages. I was recognized by them last year as their first mate champion, one of two people in the UK to be awarded that prize, and they recognized it for kind of the bookings that I do for Virgin Voyages, but also just the passion and knowledge that I have about Virgin Voyages. So I know my stuff basically when it comes to Virgin Voyages, but also from a personal point of view, I just absolutely love sailing with Virgin Voyages as well. I think I've done 12 voyages with them. I've done a number of preview events, a number of visits with them as well. So I know the ships incredibly well. I've been on all four lady ships now. I've sailed long itineraries, short itineraries, Med, Caribbean, ex-UK, or sorry, from the UK. We call them in the industry ex-UK, so UK sailings as well. So been very fortunate to kind of get around the ships quite a lot as well. So if you've got any questions about Virgin Voyages in general, if you've never been on board, let me know. But today we're primarily going to talk about kind of what's new with Brilliant Lady, what she's got to have, because I was just on her just recently and she's got some exciting new updates and changes as well. So let's have a little look. There is a... Hello, there you are, the Sassy Show. I don't recognize the name, sorry, but nice to meet you, Sassy Show. Welcome to the first, not to say the first, no, it's the fourth live, but I think it's the first live I've done whereby things have actually gone right. So fingers crossed this is going to work this time around. So what I thought I would do is all kind of a bit rough and ready. That's kind of how I am, just because that's how I like to run things. But what I've done is I put together kind of some of the photos that I took while I was on board the ship, just to kind of guide people around a little bit of kind of more highlights of what's new to Brilliant Lady. Just because she does come with a lot of new updates and new changes, basically, to what she has to offer. So forgive the fact that I am just literally showing my photos. Yes. Hello. How you doing? Right. Okay. So here we go. So this was us now in Portsmouth. Now, Virgin Voyages, in case people don't know, the reason why Virgin has chosen Portsmouth is basically at the Clear conference many, many years ago, Richard Branson announced basically that he was going to launch the brand to the world, and he did it in Portsmouth. The Clear conference was in Portsmouth many, many moons ago, basically. So when he announced Virgin Voyages, he said basically that he is determined to bring the Virgin Voyages brand back to Portsmouth rather than going to Southampton, basically. So that's the reason why all of the lady ships have sailed from Portsmouth. So we're very lucky now. Every single one of the four lady ships have all sailed from Portsmouth, and that was no difference from Brilliant Lady. Now, she's not doing any actual voyages. She's just done a preview day. So she had 2 days. The first day was the first day that I was invited to, which was for kind of media and travel agents to kind of get on board and sample the ship and see what's new. And then day 2 was for Virgin Red. So that's the loyalty scheme with Virgin Voyages and all the Virgin brands, basically. So you can earn Virgin Red points every time you sail. Basically, you still get them whether you book with me. Once you've completed your voyage, you'll get an email with a code, basically, that you use to put into Virgin Red, and you'll get those points. Now, I have no oversight or say in that, but I have personally received points for my own bookings I've done recently. I've had those points, I've been able to add them to my account. I don't know how it works. I don't know how many points you get. I don't really track points because I don't have any kind of credit cards to accrue those points. But just so you know, if you're worried, yes, you do earn the same amount of Virgin Red points whether you book with me or book with Virgin Voyages Direct. So don't panic about that. So that was day 2, sorry. And then currently, as of yesterday, she left then from Portsmouth to do a transatlantic on the friends and family sailing. So basically that's for Virgin staff, members of the Virgin family, kind of people like that, basically, who are going to be on board, and people have been able to get on board via an invite from staff on board Virgin Voyages. So she's doing quite a long transatlantic going over to New York, where she's going to do one of 4 mermaidens. So she's doing a series of mermaiden previews. Basically, the first one's going to be from New York, where she's going to be sailing kind of the east coast of New York and going off to the Bahamas. or not Bahamas, Bermuda, sorry, from New York. Then she's going to be going down to Miami and spending winter in Miami, doing a series of sailings from Miami. Then in spring, she's going to be transiting the Panama Canal. She is the only Virgin Voyages ship small enough to fit through the Panama Canal. And then she's going to spend kind of springtime then in Los Angeles, doing a couple of sailings kind of on the Mexico coast and Mexico Riviera. And then the one I'm excited for and the one that we're personally doing then is around about April, May time. Then she's sailing from Los Angeles up to Vancouver. Then she's going to be kind of repositioning to Vancouver. She's doing one sailing from Vancouver down to Seattle, which is the one we're on board. We're doing Alaska with Virgin Voyages. And then she's doing Alaska, sailings from Vancouver, from Seattle, not Vancouver, sorry. So within kind of North America rather than Canada. So really excited for that. We're going to be on the very first sailing in Alaska. So we're doing the Vancouver down to, Vancouver down to Seattle. So really, really looking forward to that. And a lot of these changes that are coming to Brilliant Lady are very much based on kind of those new scenic sailings that they're offering. So those new Panama Canal sailings, the new Alaska voyages. I think they've kind of taken a lot of the feedback on board and the concerns that some people had about she's not very outward facing. She's not got many kind of spaces to be indoors when it's going to be in those slightly colder weather environment. So I think they've kind of taken that on board. So I'm going to jump into the photos and give you a little look around some of the photos I've taken just so you can see what those spaces look like. So bear with me. So we got on board in Portsmouth. For those people who don't know as well, Portsmouth has a brand new terminal. It's really cool, actually. Virgin are sailing from Portsmouth next year. There's not as many sailings next year, and they've just put 2027 on sale for Europe, and there are no Portsmouth sailings in 2027. So if you do want to sail from the UK this year, there's a handful of sailings left. The Comedy Festival leaves on the 30th, and then you've also then got let me get my brain in order. Comedy Festival, there's also a Northern European sailing as well, and then next year as well there's a couple of 6-night sailings as well from Portsmouth, very limited. So if you want those UK sailings, definitely get on them, because there's some this year, 2 I think it is off the top of my head, maybe 3 next year, and then none in 2027. So definitely jump on them. But there's a brand new cruise terminal in Portsmouth. It's really, really nice to get into. There's still kind of some work when you get to the actual terminal to get onto the ship, just because you've got to go up a really tall ramp. So that's the only downside to it. They haven't got one of those nice kind of sexy bridges to get onto the ship. But I believe there's some construction there. You can see the bottom corner. I think that's what they built in there to kind of make it a bit easier to get on and off the ship. But don't quote me on that. Don't come to me and say 2 years' time, Kieran, they didn't build the bridge you promised. I don't know that as a fact. It just looked like it. So the preview day basically was a free bar ultimately from 1 p.m. onwards. However, it wasn't a full bar service. So I didn't get to try a lot of the new cocktails that were on board. There were just a number of drinks around the ship that were kind of signature cocktails from around the ship that we could try. So these early photos, they don't have that. But here's one of them. This is the one that everyone else had because I don't drink much gin. Is that the drink? No, that's not the drink. That's a different one. I didn't even try that one. I didn't spot that one until just then. So that was a sangria, basically. So there are a load of new drinks on board, basically, around the ship you can try. What's really exciting is she does have the new grounds club. So if you've been on Scarlet Lady this year since their dry dock, she has had an update to kind of the coffee shop upstairs in the galley. It's now a more of a lounge for the evenings type of thing. So Brilliant Lady is launching with that same update as well. So it's got a really nice kind of modern environment to it. It makes it feel like a bit more of a separate venue. So it's not kind of like a bit of there's a coffee shop in a small section of the galley. It is now its own featured venue. It does do full drink service, typically in the evenings. I'm sure if you asked, you could probably get a drink during the daytime, but in the evenings, it turns more into a lounge. You can see there, they've got some lovely soft furnishings there. And it behind, I don't think I took video of it, which I don't know if these are going to play properly, probably. But here's a little video look around it anyway, so you can just see a little bit more of what it looks like. So it just feels like nicer space, basically. And the one thing I do say is there's not a lot of spaces in the evenings to kind of sit back and relax quietly on board Virgin. So this is really great to have that. It's going to be another lounge option, basically, for you. And this is the booth area behind you. So this is kind of as you walk into Grounds Club, looking into the galley, basically. So again, just more nice seating and another bar, basically, which I think is a great addition. And Scarlet Lady has a similar update as well on that's the schedule for the day. The galley is pretty much the same. I didn't spot any new food items. That's not to say there aren't any. What Virgin are doing a lot with the galley is you've got your core kind of eateries on board, like Let's Taco About It and places like that, but they're introducing specials. And we're seeing this year more than ever as well, they're introducing different specials for each ship, but also for different days as well. So you're going to have the same core offering, and I think the classics are the same as far as I could spot. What's what I'm looking for? Just there may be different specials depending on which part of the world you're sailing in and what ship you're on, basically. Here's the big one, and the one, it's not big, it's the second big one, but this was my favorite note observation that I spotted, basically. But Athletic Club, which is on deck 15 on the very back of the ship, basically, has had a bit of a change. It's quite a big change, to be honest, and I'm quite excited by this one. Let me just see if I can make my photos bigger. I think that's what that button does. Oh, I'm bigger now, so you can see me more. But basically, they now added shade, which is the big one as well. So I really enjoy sitting in the sun, but I don't like sitting in direct sunlight. I kind of like it to be a little bit in the shade. So this was a big improvement for me. Basically, they've got the booths. So these day beds have all been moved kind of into a cluster with some shade over them. So that was a really great improvement. I really like that. There's now kind of more lighter furniture. That's a bit easier to lift, because that, again, that was one of the complaints about Athletic Club when they do kind of PJ party here and things like that. These day beds are often in the way. So PJ party, you normally, I'll be honest, the number of times I've fallen over these and thrown drinks accidentally over other people because they're in the way and you can't see them if you're surrounded by lots of people. So I think that's one of the reasons why this has changed. It makes kind of PJ party, but also this is one of the venues you can host private drinks on if you take on a big group. So I think it just makes that space a bit easier. So these chairs can be lifted and shifted. You've obviously got these day beds over on the sides type of thing. So you've got a nice big empty space in the middle. But this is the big change as well. So the big wraparound kind of day beds are gone, but they're in a different format. So the padding's thinner. And I think this is intentional because the padding was so thick before that you would often, again, you'd kind of be stomping over it just because it was so soft you would sink into it. So it makes that padding a lot lighter for you to be able to kind of get on and off of easier, which I think is a great improvement. But the big one is they face outwards, which at the moment they face inwards, and it feels a little bit like a fishbowl because you're very aware that you're facing everyone else looking into kind of Athletic Club, whereas now they face outwards, but also the glass is now lighter, so you can actually see out of the ship. So you've got those great things. So if you can imagine, like, you're sailing the Panama Canal, you're sailing the Caribbean, Alaska especially as well, you're doing that kind of glacier viewing, to be able to kind of stand here, because now you can actually stand on this, you've got spaces between the day beds where you can stand a bit easier. It's going to be great for kind of that scenic viewing as well, which I think was a concern for a lot of people, of having lots of spaces to go out and do that kind of scenic sailing. But also as well, just the day beds are positioned outwards, which I think is a great improvement as well. Loads of them. They still go all the way around. It's just there's now spaces next to them. So if you want to roll off or walk off, you're not kind of stomping off them. So a bit of a sneak peek looking down onto the dock. I took this picture because I noticed from above there's new furniture, which I'll get to once I got some pictures of the dock. So there's them. Again, just more movable furniture. It seems to be that's the big thing with this new furniture, to make it easier to kind of see things and look around on the ship. So yeah, that's that. This was another one I noticed as well. So down the side of the ship, these have changed as well. So the swings are still there and the seesaw is still there. Just they now have new day beds and more sun lounges basically on the side of the ship. So there's just more spaces to kind of sit in the sun and do, again, that relaxing, which is really great. I think this is a big change, because the beds were great that were here, but they didn't get used very often. So I think these sun beds will probably get more use than the day beds that were there. So there's that. Let me just come back out. My laptop's probably going to be really slow because I'm streaming at the same time. Here's a really cool one. So other features are still the same. So the main pool is still the same. So you've still got the same aquatic club, pool. This is the gym and tonic pool, basically. So that's still the same. So the same layout. Sun lounges are a lighter color. We were checking them. Me and my husband yesterday were kind of going crazy, going, I'm sure they're the same sun lounges. They're a lighter shade of blue, basically. So it looks a bit lighter in there. This is the artwork on the top of the stairs for anybody who's a bit of a geek and notice things like this. So each one of the 4 ships has a different bit of artwork here. Valiant has the ice creams off the top of my head, or am I getting Resilience and Valiant mixed up? Scarlet has the kind of, I call them the AirPods. It looks like they look like giant AirPods next to them, basically. Oh, yeah. So Valiant's the one with the ice creams, and Resilient has the people with the telescope sitting there looking through the telescope. And again, the main pool is exactly the same as well. So same layout there. Obviously, the artwork, which I think there's a picture of in a minute, if I go to there. So for people who are wondering, we're made for each other and save water, drink champagne. It now says every day is a Sunday, and it's red, which I think is a nice change, actually. So it'll look nice at nighttime. I think somebody sent me a picture of it at nighttime. I forgot to take one. Richard's rooftop, I did manage to have a look around. It's pretty much the same as all the other Richard's rooftops. I think just slight furniture movements and things like that. But for anybody who hasn't been on board or hasn't done it, if you ever stay Rockstar level, so whether you stay Rockstar or Mega Rockstar, you do then have access to Richard's rooftop. It is incredible. I was one of those people that was always a bit like, it's not really worth paying that much of a premium to have it, but to have your own private sun deck that has enough sunbeds basically for everybody and enough stay beds for everybody. You're not going to be fighting for a bed on those busy sea days. But the main thing as well is you do get them sunset hour. So it's usually an hour, maybe 2 hours a day where you get unlimited cocktails and Moet. And let me tell you, They are generous. They're very generous with the cocktails as well in Richard's Rooftop. Obviously, then you've got your in-room bar. Depends on which level you've got is how much bar you have. But yeah, very, very generous drinks offering. And there's also 2 hot tubs here as well, which for those people that don't know, the rest of the ship, there are checks notes 4 hot tubs for everyone else, but Richard's Rooftop there's 2 dedicated just to people who have access to Rockstar level. So again, you got more chance of getting into one of the hot tubs. Menu, they do food service as well, so you can order from the staff that come around. Let me see if I can rotate this for you guys. So this is the food menu. It tends to be served from Sun Club, which is the little station next door to it. So it tends to be a lot of rice bowls, bao buns, things like that, basically. But you can order that and have that delivered to you rather than having to go out and leave Richards to get that. Same with the drinks as well. There is a full drinks menu. As I say, it is paid for out of your bar tab unless you're mega, then you've got your daily bar tab allowance. But during Richard's Rooftop hour, pretty much every one of these cocktails is included. Moet is included. Beers and wines are all included during the sunset hour as well. So again, you get lots of them as well. Yep, day beds. This is the mega. I didn't really take many pictures and photos of the suites because I've been in them before on Valiant, and there's not a lot of changes, to be honest. But for anybody who's wondering, anyway, this is the massive suite. So this is the biggest suite on board. This is mega rockstar level. There's 2 of them right at the very front of the ship, and they overlook the bridge wing. So basically, that there is the bridge wings, the little kind of windows on the side. And actually, you look above me now. Oh, where am I? So this is above this, basically. This is called the bridge wing. So this is the bit that extends out so that the pilot can see kind of down the side of the ship when they're docking. Above this, then, basically, above the bridge wing is one of the 2 suites. There's one either side of the ship, basically. So this is the outdoor area. I don't know really why I didn't take pictures, and I don't know why I did, to be honest, because I've got pictures elsewhere if anybody wants to see them. Weirdly, small observation, the black soap is back. Don't understand why, because they got rid of it because people complained it was leaving black marks everywhere and made the bathrooms look really dirty. But ship's got black soaps in every cabin I went into. So for people who enjoyed the black soap and were fans of it, when Scarlet first launched, it's back again. Don't know how long it's going to be on board for. Don't know if it's on the rest of the fleet. I haven't spotted it yet, but it's definitely on Brilliant Lady at the moment. Anyway, wondering, this is the artwork in the elevator bank. I haven't checked every elevator bank, but definitely, I think this is midship elevators off the top of my head. But they've got Morse code made out of knots, basically. So there's a little guide there on the side of how to read it. And then obviously you can read Morse code. I didn't solve any of them. I have no idea what it says. It's probably something nautical known in Virgin, but that was there as well. So that's cool and fun to do. SIP, again, much the same. SIP is as it was on all the other ships. We think from what we're trying to remember, the furniture's a bit lighter again. There's a bit of a redesigned area in the middle, but it's really like subtle. It's just there's new booths, new seating, things like that. So you can just see it's like smaller furniture. It feels like a lot of it. It's just so the furniture is a bit lighter, so it's easier to move type of thing. But it's very much the SIP you know and love. We think that the film on the windows is lighter, so it lets more light in. And this seems to be a common thread throughout the ship. It seems to be a lot lighter. Even in kind of a grey day in Portsmouth, the ship just felt a lot lighter. I quite like this. This is a nerdy thing because I'm one of those people, but they've used it frosted signposting now as well on a lot of the staff areas. So as you're going around the ship and you kind of see backstage doors, they put frosted directional signage over as well. So I think that will make some of those people, maybe you haven't sailed before and you don't know the way around the ship as easily. The first couple of times you sail, you can get lost quite easily on the ship because there's lots of venues hidden everywhere. So they put kind of frosted directional signage on board, which I think is quite nice and handy as well. There's extra places basically to guide you around the ship. So that's quite cool. Get Lost, which is the next voyage's desk. So if you are a sailor on board Virgin, you can put on a deposit for our next voyage, pretty much in the same place as it was. But this is then the start of the next big changes then, which is the roundabout area. So for those who haven't sailed, the roundabout is the very heart of the ship. This is where typically on most voyages, depends on the port, you get onto the ship and you dock in through kind of the roundabout, either on the lower floor or the upper floor. This has had a complete redesign, basically. So the big red desk is usually here. This is where kind of shore things or port excursions normally is. And this is going to be kind of where when you get on board, they're going to be doing kind of greetings for you to kind of show you where things are. If you need any help on board, that's no longer here. But this is now a new lounge area, basically. And you can see the booths have got all padded seating and there's more light going in because, again, they're not frosted or tinted. So there's more light coming in. You can see out better, which, again, for Alaska and, you know, those colder weather climates, this is going to be fantastic to have kind of that space. So you can kind of sit in and enjoy the views type of thing a bit more scenically. Anyone wondering, that's what the octopus looks like in the roundabout. And then as well, if you look further into the background here as well, I don't know if you can see it quite easily on there. I got a massive screen. I got 32-inch screen next to me, so I can see it bigger. But there's the pillars have gone over here, which will then tease you into what's over this side as well. But there's definitely a lot more seating over on the other side as well, which I'll get to in a second. I'm pretty sure. There we go. This is the big reveal. Draft House, which usually was offering beers and shots, has had a bit of a glow up now, basically. So Draft House is now offering a coffee shop, which is this is the third coffee shop now as well. There is one not far, just down the corridor, Grounds Club, but Draft House now has its own coffee serving station as well, but also still does beers, but it's a full bar as well now, so you can get cocktails as well. So if you're in the roundabout enjoying kind of the evening entertainment, maybe there's another bar option as well, so you don't have to walk to sip or go down to On the Rocks. You've got more drink service from Draft House as well, but there's a picture in a second coming up looking the other way, but there's all new seating as well, which I love. I love all this new seating in the roundabout. Same with the kind of the seating around the actual glass of the roundabout as well. I didn't really take many pictures. You can't see it very easily, but you can just loosely see that's all now soft seating as well. They've kind of got rid of that booth that goes around it, which looked cool, but it wasn't the most practical to sit on because they were all different lengths type of thing. It's just all a lot more casual seating in the whole of the roundabout, basically all around it. So that's really cool. Really enjoyed that. Liquid Ice Cream is still there, same flavors that I spotted, but again, they're always changing things. Same with the pizza place again. So same menu as all the other ships. However, you obviously got your daily specials as well. So that's something to look forward to. And then this is the other, new area. This is where Sure Things is now. So for, again, people who've maybe been on, as you're walking towards Ground Club, there's normally a little seating area on the left. It's a bit of a weird space because it never really felt like you could sit in there because, again, the bench wasn't the most comfortable and it wasn't the most intimate. So what they've done now is turn this into a dedicated Sure Thing area. I'm guessing this will replace the big red desk with the slightly smaller red desk on day one, where you can kind of get help with setting up your Wi-Fi account and things like that. But again, you've got the booth seating for you to sit in as well for that scenic sailing. So I guess on those days where Sure Things aren't open because they do limited hours a day, this could probably be another place to sit with a coffee or a book or something like that. So there's that. I'm going to jump out because I think, this is another one as well. So on Scarlet Lady, you've got the swings. On Valiant Lady, you've got a kind of graphic, I can never say it, mural. I always say Muriel's in Muriel's wedding. So you've got that where you can kind of stick your head into the little graphic vinyls and take pictures of. And on Resilient Lady, which is probably my favorite and the best one, you've got the seahorses to sit on. This is what that artwork is basically on Brilliant Lady. So what's cool about this is, though, the panels open up. So I don't think I've actually done, I think maybe there's a video where I awkwardly try and open it up with one hand while filming, which is probably what this is. But this panel here, and there's one down there, basically, you can kind of open it up to reveal the Ahoy message, basically. So it's just a nice little bit of artwork. It's really colorful and a bit more interactive as well. So that's what replaces that section for anybody who's wondering on board. The social, much the same, looks the same layout as other ships. So I think this is closer to Resilience version, if I'm right. It's just really down to the booth seating's different. That is it. Same food and drink offering as well here. So again, there's the menu. So you can still get your hot dogs, you can get your wings, you can get your milkshakes here as well. Loose Cannon, same again, no change to Loose Cannon. That's the same. Same with the arcade. You've got the same classic games like Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, things like that as well. The dock and the dock house, like I say, just furniture changes. They're the same concept. They still do the same thing. You're still going to find the same great kind of meze plates and things like that. There is a new menu. I will get to if I've got a picture of it as well, though, for people who are wondering, but it is the same space. Again, with the juice bar, that's the same, but there's a brand new menu that makes it a bit more obvious. So there's the juice bar and what they're serving as well. Typically, these are run in the mornings. They don't tend to do them all day, but just so you can see there are smoothies there for you as well. If anyone gets the Splash of Romance package, it'll be these cold press ones at the top here, the 6-ounce ones on the left. Typically, that'll be what you'll get, basically. The grapefruit tangerine, got the beet, I can see clearly now, and green with envy. They'll be the ones you get as part of your daily Splash of Romance package, juice package, basically. And then going outside again, forgive Portsmouth, it wouldn't be a sailing from the UK unless it was grey. But basically, this is a little look around then the outside dock. So the day beds are still there. I'm convinced, and people were telling me I was imagining it, but I'm convinced that these ones against the wall are smaller. I was laying down on them and my feet go over the edge, whereas normally they don't, but people are telling me I'm imagining it. So we'll find out. But the big change basically is those big wooden chairs at the end that people sit on the front. They're a lot lighter now. They're smaller chairs. So they're easier to move around. So if you're getting a group of friends together, that's going to make that easier. It was a bit of you had to drag them. You had to be a bit of a heavyweight lifter, basically. So there's all new chairs there as well. And there was a lot of complaints that they weren't that comfortable, whereas these look like they're a lot more comfortable as well. So I think they're going to be really popular and make kind of the dock have more seating options, basically. And these used to be down the side of the ship on the promenade. It looks like they brought a couple of them down at the dock as well. But you've got kind of these sun loungers, basically really cozy, comfy ones as well. So I think they're going to be really popular as well on those sea days. Where are we going? Here we go. Here's a brief preview of the menu. Again, these things change all the time, so I'm always a bit cautious about kind of getting too carried away on the menu, but this is what the menu looks like at the moment on Brilliant Lady. So some things have gone, like the polenta's no longer on there. You've still got a chicken, but I believe it's slightly different. Monkfish is new. And so is the Trumpet Royale mushrooms as well. They're new. I didn't get to try them. We went there to try them, and then we ended up getting interviewed by the trade press. So we didn't end up eating anything. We drank a cocktail, though. Didn't actually eat anything. So I haven't tried anything new on this menu. We did make plans to. Didn't get around to it. So yeah, that's that. And then we had brunch in the wake. I'm not really going to get into that. There was nothing new on the menu that I'm aware of, but we had brunch in the wake. I've done it many times before, basically, but it's the onboard steakhouse. It is available for brunch on most days, so you can go there and do that. Lovely meal. Can't fault it. Great company. We were chatting with some friends of ours. So again, really, really love that. We were there for a while, and we were drinking mimosas, sparkling wine. So that was lovely. Just quickly, the promenade area has been slightly changed. It's not a radical change. The day beds are still there on the one side. However, right up against the glass, they've removed those day beds and they've put, in this situation anyway, they've put sun loungers there. I think this is done intentionally so that, again, for those scenic cruising, Panama Canal, Alaska, when you're viewing glaciers, you're going to want to be able to get kind of up close to the edge as much as possible. So I think removing those day beds means there is less lounging space, but there's more space for kind of getting up close and viewing all those incredible views, which is what I think is more important on these kind of scenic sailing routes. So those sunbeds can obviously be moved as well. So when doing the Caribbean in the winter months, it's going to be great to have more options to sit in the sun, but then they can remove them if they need to as well, or leave them there for people to sit back and relax and watch the scenic sailing as well. And then again, a bit of a quick one. These are these slightly smaller sea terrace cabins. So to be able to transit the Panama Canal, that Brilliant Lady has been, the lifeboats have been lifted in ever so slightly. So they sit slightly closer to the inside of the ship. So what it means they've had to do is make the limited view sea terrace balcony cabin slightly smaller to be able to fit the lifeboats up in higher, which means basically you can't fit 2 chairs and the little kind of side drinks table on board. So what they've done instead is you've got 2 hammocks. So some people are going to love them because you can both have a hammock. There's no fighting over who's in the hammock or getting jealous with your partner when they're in the hammock. But you do have 2 hammocks on these slightly smaller sea terraces. We were originally told by Virgin that these weren't obstructed views. Turns out they are, basically. So unfortunately, these are going to be limited views. They are in the same place, the limited views. Originally, we were told they weren't. Turns out they are, sorry. So that is recent news, I think, as we've been able to get on board and people have seen it. It's something that was a bit of a miscommunication when the ship first launched, basically. I don't know what this video is, so I'm not going to show it just in case. But there's just to look into it. Once you're inside the slightly smaller sea terrace, it's exactly the same as all of the sea terraces. So that's the same as you would expect, basically. Just if anyone's not seen them, this is inside the cabanas on the side of the ship on the pool deck, deck 15. They were open, and I have been in them before, but they're really set up properly. New beds by the looks of it, so they're a bit more movable furniture. So again, you could just tailor make it a bit more for you as well. But that's the cabana service, basically. You can order them if you wanted to use these. You do it kind of by speaking to the people in the bar at the main pool, or you can do it via the app as well and order them. They do come with a bar tab credit on top of anything you may have yourself. So I think ballpark figures is like $500 for the day, and you get $100 or $200 to spend on drinks when you're there. But obviously they do food service and drink service to your cabana for you as well. I've never done it just because I'm not that type of person. Just being honest, it doesn't appeal to me to spend that much money to do that. But probably if I was celebrating an occasion or there was a group of friends and family together, I'd probably consider it. So yeah, you've got like a bar service there as well. Some new shows, we purposely chose not to see the new shows just because we are booked on Brilliant to do Alaska next year. So we want something to kind of keep for when we sail as well. But we did stick our head in and had a look at one of the new shows, which I'm going to be bad and I forgot the name of this show already. I have my entertainment somewhere else list. Sorry, I apologize. I'll try and remember what this is. But basically, this is one of the new shows. My take on it is it does feel a bit more like what you would find on other cruise lines, which is a good and a bad thing. It is more of a kind of musical cabaret show. So what we watched the first 5-10 minutes of it, the opening act, basically, the kind of cast come out and they sing songs. The storyline is very Virgin Voyages. There is a time machine microwave that takes people through time, and the evil villain looks like a mutant rat. That was the best I could explain about it, basically. But I've got a little clip here of the opening. This seems to be the lead character, Dr. Voltaire. So again, she's the one who's built the time machine, and this guy with the tail, which you can't see because it's quite blurry, that's the villain. Who you find out very early into it, so I'm not spoiling anything. But you find out quite early on that he's the villain, and he's tampered with the time machine, basically. So I don't know if Sam's going to play here, sorry, but here's a little bit of a. So there's been a lot of kind of not complaints, but just feedback from people that there's no traditional cruise style shows on board the ship, basically. So shows that you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy, basically a bit of musical cabaret. So it seems like Virgin say that are on board, and that's what this show seems to be. Again, it could go in a totally different direction. A lot of Virgin Voyages shows do that, whereby you sit down and it's not what you expect as it goes on, type of thing. So that could change as the show goes on. But from what we watched, that's what it seemed like, basically. This is the big one, I think, that a lot of people are looking forward to. This is Rojo by Razzle Dazzle. So for anybody who hasn't been on a Virgin Voyages ship in the past, they have 6 main eateries, and they're all specialty dining level, basically. So they've all got 6 different concepts to them. Off the top of my head, and I'll probably forget one like I always do, but Test Kitchen is a molecular gastro kitchen. So it's very much playing on your senses of what food and texture could be. One of my favorites, think very much like Heston Blumenthal. It's very much that kind of playing with your perception and things like that. I very much love Test Kitchen. Then you've got Extra Virgin, which is an Italian restaurant on board. They make all the pasta fresh on board. So if you love Italian food, Extra Virgin's one to look out for. Gunbay, the Korean barbecue restaurant, really, really popular, really great for social dining. It's probably the most limited when it comes to gluten-free. So it's one we don't get to do very often because my husband's gluten-free. You can eat gluten-free. It's just the most restrictive. So my husband prefers to dine at the other ones instead. Pink Agave is his favorite because it's Mexican, and that has the most options for him. So we tend to eat in Pink Agave more than all the other eateries, just because he could eat the more choice, basically. He gets to eat pretty much, I think, like 90% of the menu. Razzle Dazzle typically is an American comfort restaurant on board. It originally opened as a vegetarian restaurant. They still had meat options, but it was very much kind of primarily vegetarian. That changed about 2 years ago to be an American comfort food restaurant. Personally, Razzle Dazzle has become my favorite restaurant because it's got incredible things like lamb shank on board, fried chicken, the secret burger is incredible. But what they've started doing as the ship's gone through dry dock is they have started to change out the ships, basically. So Scarlet Lady launched Lucky Lotus by Razzle Dazzle, which is a kind of elevated Chinese experience. And now Brilliant Lady is coming out with Rojo by Razzle Dazzle, which is a Mexican tapas house style restaurant. And then the last one, before I forget it, is going to be The Wake, which I mentioned earlier on, which is going to be the kind of New York style brasserie steakhouse on board. So all of these, basically the way it works is 45 days beforehand, if you're in kind of the standard class sounds awful. If you haven't booked Rockstar is the way I should say it. So if you haven't booked Rockstar, 45 days before, you can book your dinner reservations. They do go live at like midnight Miami time, so you do have to be up quite early in the UK to get your slots. If you book with me, I do send an email guide and I give my list of recommendations of which ones to book as a priority, just because some restaurants book out earlier than others by demand and popularity, basically. So I send loads of tips on how to make sure you get the right reservations that you want. But basically, you book your reservations, and when you're on board, then you just go at that time, basically. You can pick, typically on shorter voyages, so the short 3, 4, 5 nights, you can only pick one restaurant, and you have to dine in a different one each night. And then on kind of 7 nights or more voyages, you can usually pick. I've not had a problem, but some people have told me you can only book each restaurant twice, but we've never had a problem booking restaurants 3 times. The other thing I will say as well is people panic, and people say that you can't get slots on board. We've never struggled when we're on board. Basically, what we find is people get on board, they make friends, and they change their plans all the time, type of thing. They realize that they want to go see a show, and the show's clashed with the reservation they had, so they cancel and move it. You can also go to the reservations team on board. Typically, this is in Razzle Dazzle as soon as the ship opens when you get on board, and they hold back about 30-40% of reservations as well. So we've never struggled to find slots that we want or make adjustments or change our plans once we get on board. But people panic and they see things are sold out and they go, I'm not going to be able to eat. Totally can eat, just you've got to be a bit more flexible with your plans. So Eduardo's asked a question, which is there Razzle Dazzle and Razzle Dazzle Rojo on board? No, it is pretty much changed now to on board Brilliant Lady. It's launching with Rojo Razzle Dazzle. I haven't got to the bottom of this, but we were told basically that brunch is the original Razzle Dazzle menu, and that the evenings is going to be Rojo. For the preview day, they did the Rojo evening menu during the daytime, which I think is what's caused a bit of a back and forth communication about whether or not it's Razzle Dazzle during the daytime. But the pre-release information I had, at least anyway, said that the morning or the brunch menu is the original Razzle Dazzle, maybe with a few changes, but it's the original Razzle Dazzle concept. And then in the evenings is Rojo, but I haven't got to the bottom of that, sorry. And we may have to wait for the first few sailings and people getting on board to get an actual confirmation. Things change all the time between kind of preview sailings and launch sailings, so that may change. But definitely the kind of American comfort menu does not exist at all on Brilliant Lady. It is completely Rojo. And the restaurant, which, sorry, I should probably go and actually show you what the restaurant looks like, because it has had a big change. So for anybody who's in my Virgin Voyages Facebook group, this menu, I shared it a few weeks ago because it came out beforehand. But the way it works is very much tapas style. So similar to pink agave, really. You do get your small plates, medium plates, large plates, basically. And again, if you're doing family style, you can pick, obviously, and share with each other. If you're doing individually, they tell you how many you recommend getting, but it's usually like a 2-1-1 basically situation. So we ordered a lot of things. Not everything was on the ship, but there was three of us dining together. So I had the conservas, the oxtail, the croquettes. I don't think we had the shrimp. I may have. I can't remember. We may have had the shrimp. I'll go to the pictures in a minute. This one was my favorite, was the pimenton cheese. I don't know how easily you can see that basically on the screen, but pimenton cheese was amazing. I'll show you pictures of all this instead. So this is the pimenton cheese here. It's kind of like a bit like a goat cheesy like taste to it. It's got quite a kick to it, quite a rich cheese, but it's also got quite a kick to it as well, a heat, which was great. I love this type of thing. I could have probably eaten the entire plate if I wasn't already a little bit full from eating around the ship all morning. This is the octopus behind it. Again, I thoroughly love the octopus. I do quite like octopus anyway, but that's probably one of the best pieces of octopus I've ever had. This is the steak tartare, which Phil, my husband, had. He devoured it within minutes. It was gone. By the time I turned around and finished filming this, I pretty much think he'd eaten it, to be honest. This is the, I called it like Spanish picky tea. It's got an actual name, but that's kind of a lot of like olives and things like that on there. But again, Phil ate all of that before I had a chance to look at that. I wanted to try these because these apparently were like lavender almonds, but yeah, they were gone before I even had a chance to get a look in. So good thing we're going back on board, otherwise it would have been more cross at my husband than I planned. This is the oxtail. Again, I did like it, and I put a post out today saying that I didn't. I did like it, but just to clarify, it's caramelized onion and an oxtail. I love oxtail. I don't like caramelized onion, basically. So I couldn't get past the fact that it's quite strong tasting of caramelized onion. The flavors are lovely. Just is a preference thing. I don't like caramelized onions, so I didn't enjoy that so much. And then these are the ham and cheese croquettes, which again were lovely. I can't remember what this sauce is. It's like a tapenade almost. Lovely. They were really cool. And then for my main, then I had the short ribs, very, very sweet because they honeyed short ribs with a chili sauce, a spicy sauce on them as well. So I didn't eat a lot of them because, like I said, I was quite stuffed by this point. But flavorful, great punch, really sweet. So if you're expecting kind of like really tangy, they're not very tangy. They're very sweet with a chili under heat to them as well. And then this is the cheesecake, basically, which my husband had, which, again, he loved. It disappeared again in the time I was chatting to my friend, turned around, it was gone. This was a fun activity. I don't think this is going to be permanently on the ship. I do think this is a bit of a special events. They had it on the celebration voyage, so they do have it on regular voyages, but I don't think this is every voyage you can do this. But for the celebration voyage, you could do this. You could do a bit of a letterpress activity. And Virgin are trialing more stuff like this. They're bringing activities on for seasons or limited events type of thing. So you always need to check the app to see what's happening. But this was one where you could do a letterpress to make a postcard. And then they had somebody down the line then where you could do calligraphy, which I think the pictures were the following day because I was a bit tipsy by this point. I'd had like 5 cocktails. So my content creation brain wasn't as good as it should have been. But there, you can get calligraphy basically on there. So if you wanted to send a memento or make a memento of like the sailing date or things like that, you could. But if you don't want to wait in line, you can just pick up some that they had pre-printed as well of kind of the ship and the hull number, and obviously with love from Brilliant Lady as well. So they're nice mementos to have as well. So that was fun to do. So I think that's Rojo. The last thing really to talk about is going to be one of the parties we went to. This was electric. Now, for people who don't know, Virgin Voyages do theme parties. Each ship is starting to now get their own different entertainment, so you do need to kind of keep that in mind when you are booking your ship. On Resilient Lady and I believe now Valiant Lady, they have Club Rubric, which is like an 80s party. The way it works is the Happenings cast, which is Virgin Voyages' version of the entertainment cast. They will kind of do different performances throughout the evening, basically. And what I love about it is you're never the first person to dance on a dance floor on board Virgin Voyages. The Happenings cast are always there to kind of get the atmosphere going and the environment going. So it's a lot of fun. You don't feel like the first person there type of thing, and it's not that awkward. I'm just going to watch and wait and see what happens. I feel like parties start the second the doors open type of thing. So this was great. Electric, basically, is, I think I've got some wider shots. It's more of a 90s party, sorry. I thoroughly loved this. Club Rubric is a lot of fun, but I'm not a fan of 80s music. I appreciate it. I don't love it. This, however, and the DJ was playing like UK Garage, so, you know, Flowers, songs like that. We had a lot of great 90s pop songs, lots of 90s kind of garage, hip-hop songs. I thought it was incredible, and it was more my cup of tea. And I think if you're kind of my age, you know, 40 territory, Electric's going to be a great, great one for you. But then Abby, the hostess, if you haven't heard me before wax lyrical about Abby, the hostess, she's kind of the face of the ship. She's going to be greeting you to a lot of the events on board. I adore Abby. She's incredible at her job. But she then comes out and sings a song at the beginning of the event then to kind of set the atmosphere. Didn't get much video of it because it's very difficult to film in the dark, and I was up on the balcony because I was hiding out of the way for this one. But again, the cast, like I say, they're setting the tone with some dance performances, and then throughout this will change. So you'll have kind of like a 10-minute performance piece, and then maybe 20 minutes of a DJ. And then they'll do another dance piece then where the dancers will come out and dance on different podiums and things like that. But you can see some of the decor there. They've got kind of all that neon vibe thing. So if you're looking to dress up for it, you're definitely going to want something neon. Don't think 80s neon. Think kind of like Happy House Days neon, kind of that 90s, you know, smiley face, things like that. They were going around with neon pens. And if you were obviously opted into it, it's not like they just randomly walk up to you and draw on you. But if you wanted to, they invited you. They would draw like, you know, neon patterns and things like that. Under the neon lights, it looked really cool. People had like, you know, lightning bolts and hearts and things like that drawn on them, so it was quite cool. And some of the characters, their costumes were obviously very neon as well, so this was cool. Lasers, yeah, honestly, I love this, and I was like, right, that's it. I'm glad I'm on board now. I'm gonna love this party. The Manor is an incredible venue. It's a 2-story nightclub on board, and I thoroughly love my time in the Manor every single time I go on board the ship. They do lots of different parties. This is one of many. There was another one that we didn't get to go to, which is Up with a Twist. Friends of ours did it, and I've got the menu at the end of that. Where is it now? So Paige kindly, because she managed to get a reservation for it, I didn't. So she did Up with the Twist. So Up with the Twist, I'm going to post this in the group soon once I've gone through it and checked it all. Up with the Twist is kind of like another Rose on board Resilient Lady. So this is going to be a paid-for dinner show on board. Don't know the price yet, but Another Rose is $50 basically. So $50, you do get cocktails included. So you can see here, she said she had 6 cocktails, and it's a meal as well. So totally worth the money. Dinner and a show, cocktails. Great, great value. So just a bit of a sneaky peek. I don't know if you can see it on the screen very well. In fact, I'll see if I can make my screen just this menu. A bit of a sneak peek at the menu. People didn't pay for this on the preview sailing, but we know it is going to be charged for, basically. So the way it works typically is you'll get a welcome drink. You'll then get a light bite, and then you get a course with a drink every time. Sometimes you get a between course cocktail as well, but she come out very merry indeed. Paige, bless her. It's got a French nouveau cuisine element to it, and the show is very much, I haven't watched any of this stuff, so that's why I'm a bit like, I don't know what I'm about to see myself. But if you like Another Rose, you're probably going to love this as well, because it's very much the same concept. Dinner and a show, great performance. Entertainment happens all around you, above you, overhead type of thing, so it's really great. I love Another Rose. It's one of my favorite things to do on board. So again, this is very much in that similar concept. So that's Up with a Twist. There was another Manor show that happened that we didn't go to. Again, we purposely avoided it. Not all the shows did happen on board. Let me bring myself back in. Sorry, that's very rude of me to talk to nobody. Not all of the events happened on our day or the following day, so there are still some shows that have been happening as part of the Friends and Family Voyage. I know the Diva Goes West is a new Diva show, the drag queen on board. The first showing of that was yesterday, I believe, and also Love, Love, Love with the hostess. Sorry, there's a new version of that show with Abby or the hostess as well. That's launching as well with Brilliant Lady. So there's all new entertainment happening on board the ship as well. So that's really exciting and something to look forward to. There's the croque en bouche, which again, the food just looks great. I love the Virgin Voyages and the food. And then just quickly, because I didn't take it, I asked a friend to share these with me, but these are a few more pictures of Rojo, just so you can have a little look through. It is a complete change. It's not one of those, like, Lucky Lotus still looks very much like Razzle Dazzle and has new furniture and new soft goods. Complete redesign, basically. The only thing that's the same is the space. It is a completely different look, basically. And they've also introduced these really nice, like, sitting areas. So what you can do, if you don't want to actually go in for a full meal, and they kind of trialed this with Razzle Dazzle, with kind of Razzle Dazzle After Dark, and I don't think it's ever really taken off. So it'll be interesting to see if it does here. But you can now as well do just go in and just have tapas. So you can't order everything on the menu, but if you wanted the small little bites, you can pop in. I believe this is one of the sitting areas you can go into. And then for those who know, the red bar is around the corner, basically. This is designed purely for tapas. And obviously, if you want to go in and just have a drink. So again, it's very much if you don't have a reservation or you're kind of a bit like, look, I'm peckish, I want to eat something more than the galley. This is where you can go to for that. So you can go into Rojo and just have the small plates, basically, and just have some, drinks and food type of thing. Again, no charge for that other than the drinks if you drink them. Obviously, you can take it off your bar tab. But yeah, that's kind of the really cool new thing about Rojo. I think it's great that they've kind of elevated it and gone above and beyond what anyone was expecting. It's a new concept rather than just a kind of same venue, different food type of thing. We were told as part of the pre-launch for it as kind of travel agents, Valiant Lady obviously goes into dry dock next year, and it has been confirmed already that Valiant Lady is also going to get a new eatery on board as well. Don't know what the cuisine's going to be, but Valiant Lady is going to get a new eatery in the similar kind of concept of Lucky Lotus and Rojo as well. So 3 of the 4 lady ships will have, by the end of next year at least anyway, their own individual eatery. Whether or not Resilient Lady, I personally hope they keep Resilient Lady with the American comfort food because I love that menu. We don't know that yet, though. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Resilient Lady as well and her eatery on board, whether she changes as well when she goes into dry dock, which looks to be 2027. Because jumping around a bit, because a lot has happened in this last week, Virgin Voyages have kept me on my toes, basically. But they've announced now the Western Mediterranean 2027 as well. So Resilient Lady is going to be sailing from Barcelona in 2027. That is because she does need to go in for dry dock because she's been sailing now for over 5 years. So she needs to go in just to have her annual inspection. I would guess she's also going to have some updates as well. Whether or not they do the same updates they've done to Brilliant to Valiant next year and Resilient the year on, I personally think they're just going to keep innovating and we'll see new changes. There's rumors galore on the internet about kind of new pools, new all sorts. Take it all with a pinch of salt until Virgin announce it themselves. Virgin are very secretive as well. They probably won't announce anything until people are on board the ship as well. They just like working that way. But you may hear lots of rumors as well. Some of those rumors probably will be true, but things change rapidly with Virgin as well. Working with them now for 3-4 years, I've been selling Virgin Voyages. Things change all the time. So don't be surprised by anything. But yeah, guys, if you've got any questions, by all means, sorry, I know I've waffled on for quite longer than I thought. This is usually meant to be 30 minutes and we're 40 minutes in. But if you've got any questions about Brilliant Lady, by all means, feel free to pop them in the comments below. We do have an exclusive offer. If you've never sailed before with Virgin Voyages, because of the launch of Brilliant Lady, we do have an exclusive bar tab code for us, basically, as first mates with Virgin Voyages. I'm going to do the sales pitch, so bear with me. But if you are interested, there's my email on board. This is for new bookings only, unfortunately. If you've recently booked with me, I'm so sorry I can't apply it. Not my rules, Virgin Voyages rules. Just physically, the system does not allow us to put this code in until it's a new booking, basically, at the time you book. But it's $100 bar tab for a sea terrace, and it's $200, sorry, if you book a Rockstar level. I had to get my brain in order then. If you're in the sailing club, keep an eye out on your inbox, because I've just been told as well that Virgin Voyages is sending access keys to people who have sailed previously and are in the sailing club as well to get another onboard credit offer for the 2027 launch as well. They have to be booked by the end of this month, so you have to be quick to get in that as well. Now, even if you don't have sailing club and you're not going to be picking any of these sailings where that bar tab code works, anytime you do book with us, if you book cruise only, typically what we do is we give you an extra onboard credit. It does depend on the price of the cruise. Typically, however, cabins 2,000 over, which is most 5-night or more sailings, they get $100 onboard credit. If you book Rockstar, it's $200. Under that, you get $50. There's a couple of anomalies where I've been caught out, whereby Virgin have sneakily launched a 2-night sailing and somebody's booked a cabin for like 600 quid. And I've had to kind of change the onboard credit to $25 just because there's not enough money being handed, not enough revenue for me to do that. But that's an offer that I offer on top of anything Virgin Voyages offer. So even if you use my next Virgin Voyages placeholder and you book with me, I also add on my onboard credit as well. It's added manually by me. I do it about 2 weeks before you sail. just as you can imagine, the cash flow of when I get paid by Virgin for booking you, that's why I do it that way, basically. But that's on top of anything you get with Virgin Voyages. If you book a package holiday, and our friends over at Voyage Store, so anybody who's booked a package holiday with me, it'll either be packaged by me or it'll be packaged by Voyage Store, our friends who are set up to sell Virgin Voyages packages in the UK. They are flight inclusive, ATOL protected packages. They have access to special rates when we do a flight inclusive offer. So if we work with them, what we do is we look at the overall package. Usually we get a good rate anyway, where it's usually cheaper than you booking it yourself because of those special rates we get access to. But I'll look at the price as well, and I'll price it up myself to check and make sure. And if it's over, I'll always make sure it's under as well. Don't get the bar tab or the extra sailor lose on that case, because obviously that money comes from somewhere and it comes from my share of the money. But it means then that you're never paying more than you would pay if you were booking kind of flights, hotels, and everything yourself separately as well. I every single booking I go through to make sure that that doesn't happen as well. So definitely when you're booking your Virgin Voyages cruise with me, you get my expert knowledge. I know the ships incredibly well. You're also getting the best deal, whether you're paying the same price and you get an extra onboard credit offer, or you're booking an ATOL flight inclusive package from the UK, and then you're getting an exclusive discount as well. I go above and beyond to make sure that that always happens, so nobody pays more than they would pay if they booked it all separately themselves. But there's my details there as well. We have tons of guides as well. Sorry, my nose is starting to itch. We have tons of guides on our website as well about Virgin Voyages. Just literally go to cruise and then find Virgin Voyages. You'll find then a link to all the pages then with all our guides as well. Dining guides, reviews of all the different packages you can add on. So Splash of Romance, Splash for Your Bash. We've done all them ourselves. We paid for them, so we can kind of share with you guys what those things are about as well. But if anyone ever wants to ask any questions about Virgin Voyages, you can technically WhatsApp me. So this number is, sorry, my nose is really itchy all of a sudden. You can WhatsApp me on this number as well. Any questions? Typically, I tend to prefer WhatsApp be for kind of those people who are customers of mine. I'm very, very generous with my help and advice, but obviously I try to prioritize that my customers are looked after first, just because they have paid for a service in the nicest way. I say that with the utmost love and respect, basically. But generally, emails, I'll obviously come back to as soon as I can if you've got any questions, comments as well below, and also in our Virgin Voyages Facebook group. I don't want to risk going to my screen because I don't know what's on it. Let me just see. I did share this live into my Facebook group, but basically if you go to Magical Traveler, to be honest, go to like facebook.com. I don't know if I put the Facebook link on this. No. If you go onto like Facebook and search for Magical Traveler, you'll find the business page. And then typically on the business page, you will see, let me share this. Sorry, it's going to be easier. I've got nothing on I shouldn't have. I've just been cautious because one time I had all my emails open and it was stuff about customers bookings, which obviously is not supposed to happen. So I'm always like, let me just check. And there's me about 4 minutes ago. So if you go through, typically if you go to kind of more here and then go to groups, you will then see all the groups that we have. So we have a private Facebook group for Virgin Voyages, which is where we share kind of just more kind of really random, obscure observations. So a lot of the updates about Brilliant Lady are going into this group now here. So this is very much like where we share conversations and things like that about Virgin Voyages, new launches, things like that. Any offers or deals, we tend to share them everywhere, but this will be the place to go for if we share kind of those flight inclusive options. This tends to be a lot more kind of observations. It's not kind of the in and out of Virgin Voyages. So yeah, anyway, guys, I've waffled on a bit. That's what tends to happen on these lives, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found that helpful and interesting. If you've got any question about Virgin Voyages, by all means, like I say, leave them in the comments below. I'll check the comments over the next couple of days as well if I've missed anything, but I think that's a pretty involved conversation about what's coming to Brilliant Lady. Probably should explain now. I have to explain where she's going, haven't I? So yeah, anyway, I'm going to go because my ADHD started to tweak and I need to be at my dad's birthday party today. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that. I will speak to you on the next one. Take care. Bye.